This off. This is an official hearing. It'll be recorded, and we will swear you in so that you can give testimony, as well as the assessor that's giving testimony. And then we will give you 10 minutes to present your argument or your evidence on what you think should be done with the property value. And then we'll give the assessor and the commissioners a chance to ask you questions. Then the assessor will have 10 minutes and give you a chance to ask questions. And then we'll give you a rebuttal of a final 5 minutes if you need that to anything further that you want to add or say or respond to the assessor. And then we will deliberate and make a decision. That make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So if you would just repeat after me, we're going to swear you in now. And I've got an assessor here swearing in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Okay. And if you're not already, you may be seated. Okay. All right. I would start off, Mandy, with letting you go ahead and share your thoughts with us. We're looking at the paperwork and the application you made. Just go ahead and we'll start the clock, and you have up to 10 minutes if you need it to tell us what you want to share.
Okie dokie. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm sure you guys have my paperwork
Yes.
in front of you. Okay, perfect. So I'm under the impression that I can only use comps from 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I have two comps comparable to my lot. I'm a realtor, so that's how I have access to these. 281 Diamond Hitch, it was listed at just under 115. It sold for 100 cash September of 22. And that is a little bit up the hill. So I guess it's a bit subjective whether you would say that's more prime, the views are a little bit better up there. So I don't know. I guess it's just preference with, where you would want to be. So it's kind of hard to say it's valued a little more. It is a smaller lot than mine at 0.37 of an acre. Regardless, the next one, 113 Prospector, 0.21 of an acre, sold for 83.5 cash, April of 22. So those are my two comps. Those are both greatly under what mine is valued at. So I just don't see where my assessed value is comes from, honestly. So that's kind of it.
Okay, and let me just clarify. The first one you said was 0.37 of an acre, and the second one was 0.2?
No, so mine is 0.37. The first one, 281 Diamond Hitch, is 0.25. 113 Prospector is 0.21. They are both a tiny bit smaller than mine. Does not make up for $50,000.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, if I can't use anything in 2023, then it doesn't really matter. And honestly, prices have even kind of a little bit dropped, so yeah, if anything, it's just showing a higher value for 22. So okay. No, that's about it for my argument.
All right. Let me give the assessor a chance if he wants to ask you any questions.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
No questions? Okay. Let me ask the board, are there any questions?
No.
Not at this time.
Not at this time. All right. So now I'm going to allow the assessor to present his side of the argument.
I'm James Corning, deputy appraiser at Shown.
Messing up our system, Jeff.
So as you can see, I've used basically the same comps that she has and one more. Hers is a 0.37 acre lot, undeveloped. It's close to the golf course, but not directly on the golf course. Comparable number one is the 0.212 acre lot sold for 83.5. That calculates out to she's being assessed for $9.23 a square foot. Comp number one, it is a smaller vacant lot. It's at $9.04 a square foot. That's the 113 Prospector loop. which is basically right across the street from her. 821 Diamond Hitch Drive, which is the one she's talking about, just up the road. That's basically on the golf course. It sold for $9.07 a square foot. I have a home in an empty lot in Kellogg that's a 0.099 acre, and it sold for $15.22 a square foot. With these comparables and the location, I think that she is with the cost and market approach, I think she is at market value.
Okay. Any further comment?
And Exhibit A I have in this packet is a letter from the state saying that we are out of compliance. So in our ratio studies from 2022, we had to raise another 35 to 40% to get us into state compliance for 2023.
Okay, anything else? All right, Mandy, any questions for the assessor from you?
Yes, sir. What is that third comp that you were talking about? Another lot in Kellogg, not in Galena Ridge.
Yeah.
That was 15 a square foot.
Yes, $15.22 a square foot. It's up.
Yeah, what is that address?
It's Silver Avenue, Kellogg.
Okay, I guess my question or dispute would be that's not in Galena Ridge. That's not, I mean, I get it, it's in Kellogg, but Galena Ridge is a neighborhood very, very, very different from other streets in Kellogg. So I was wondering why that's being used as a comp. Because it's greatly, I mean, it's almost twice, if not, at least a third more than the two comps. And I think that really brings my price up when it's not really a comparable.
Right. Well, it's an empty lot in town versus on the golf course up at Galena Ridge. So even if I took that out, well, she's still going to be close at market value. Because even if I was to calculate it at 1522 square foot, it would make her values jump considerably. So it was a consideration for a comp, not necessarily binding.
So you take the $9 a square foot from the first two comps and the $15 a square foot, and you average them, and that's how you get mine?
No.
Okay.
No. We do mass appraisals, not the fee absolute. So when the sales happen in 2022 in Kellogg, they get adjusted in a trend.
Okay. Any further questions for you, Mandy?
Yeah, I am wondering, I guess still I'm wondering, or I guess my question would be, could that third comp be taken out? Because it's not near my lot whatsoever, and it seems to be a quite a bit higher. And then my second question would be, this letter from the state as far as being out of compliance, I guess I'm wondering, I understand the pressure to, raise the value of everything, but if we're strictly basing it on comps from 2022, what does the letter have to do with anything?
State compliance of the market value. If we're not in state compliance with the market value, then the state does the adjustment and puts us in the market value. So therefore, none of us can do anything. We can't contest it.
So that's not based on comps at all. It's just the state saying, well, this should be a higher value than it is, and then what it's actually selling for?
No, this is Jerry White, the assessor. The state uses all sales per given area, which you could call those comps. They don't break it down that finite. Like they wouldn't use everything up at Galena Ridge in their ratio study.
Gotcha. Okay, so it might be saying, yeah, Shoshone is a little bit lower than Kootenai or Bonner.
Well, they'll say the entire Shoshone County is out of compliance, and then we do our own ratio study by area to see which ones warrant what percentage increase or decrease to bring us back into compliance.
Mm-hmm.
But man, even if we took that, if we eliminated that third column, just use those two, yours coming, the assessed value is at $9.23 per square foot. The other one, 113 Prospector Loop is $9.04, and Diamond Hitch 281 is at $9.07.
So how do you get, 904 or 907 to 923?
So the sales price divided by the square footage, 113 Prospector Loop comes up to 904.
Mm-hmm.
Then the one at 281 Diamond Hitch Road, 0.253 acres, the sales price 100,000 comes up to 907.
Mm-hmm.
And then yours assessed value divided by the square footage comes out to $9.23.
Okay, so I guess I'm wondering where that extra 20 cents comes from.
Yeah, it's just,
Because my lot is, it's a vacant lot, just like any other vacant lot. So why is it a higher value than a one right next to it?
Well, so if we use that per square footage, the 904, that puts you at approximately, without doing the math, at probably 145.
Let me check that math. That doesn't make any sense to me.
we're all doing the math.
Of course.
43560.
Yeah, it comes out to about 145.
Okay, 1 second. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took the 904 and multiplied it times your square footage. And that's what I got.
Okay, so that is just breaking it down square footage from the, because theirs is 2.21 of an acre and mine's 0.37 of an acre.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that makes the difference in price. Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. Yours is bigger.
Okay. So you cannot look at active comp, correct? It's only closed in 2022.
Yeah, we have to look at 2022 sales.
Now, in the past, when we have lack of sales, in this one, 2 sales, for us, that's a decent number. But the state tax commission, they'll actually, if we don't have enough sales, they'll go back, but then they'll time adjust those. And I don't have a clue what the time adjustment would be.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like?
Sorry.
What does that look like?
What I couldn't tell you what the time adjustment would be. If I knew what the time adjustment would be, I mean, we were looking at anywhere from 2% per month up to 2.5% per month. 22, 23 in a lot of the areas, but I don't have it broke down by area, sorry.
Okay. Let me ask if the board has any questions
I don't know.
of either party at this
No.
point. Okay, so Mandy, let's go ahead and give you a chance to make your closing argument and or rebuttal or anything else you want to say for this final round, and then we'll do the same for the assessor.
Okay, I guess in closing, just looking at my assessed value, it's obviously high, even if you break down per square foot, which I haven't as a realtor. That is not how I look at comps. That's not how I would suggest somebody would. You know, if I wanted to sell my lot, I would not list it at $150,000. I wouldn't sell it for that. No way. So it's really hard for me to see that number and say, oh, okay, yeah, that's the value. You know, I understand where you guys are coming from and why that number, although it's slightly high, where you come from, but it's not a true value. I can't sell it for that. And I'm paying taxes on that value. So that's really hard for me to wrap my brain around. And I'm sure there's many other people in Galena Ridge, or it just in Shoshone, you know, to be, you know, bigger picture, you know, in Shoshone completely with a vacant lot, that it's just not the accurate value. You can't sell it for it. So it's really hard for me to wrap my brain around that, especially when the two comps, although a little bit smaller of a lot. You know, as a realtor, I look at where they are in proximity to the golf course, where they are, you know, around other houses, which direction they're facing, how sloped they are, how many trees are there, how much clearing you're going to have to do, yada, 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 you know, the list goes on. So I know all that isn't necessarily taken into account when you're assessing the value. However, maybe it should be. You know, I just really am having a tough time looking at 148, 745 and saying, okay, that's my value, because realistically, it's not my value.
Okay. Appreciate your thoughts on that. Let me give the assessor final.
We don't do fee absolute appraisals. We do mass appraisals. So we're not doing each home and as an individual appraisal with a fine tooth comb, which is normally what an appraiser would do to come in if you wanted to sell your home. So when we do mass appraisals, we move everybody together, not individually. Your house is assessed at each house, each home and parcel has its own characteristics and difference from others, and that is taken into account in prior years. Now, if our data is incorrect, then we try to do an inspection once every 5 years to make sure our data is correct. And if it's not correct, we get it corrected. So I think that we're at market value, fair market value, but you know, the market's kind of slowing down and maybe we'll recede. I don't know. I'm not a realtor.
Okay. All
I
right.
have a question, if I could backtrack.
I'll allow you one quick question, but we've kind of gone past that point.
Okay, I'm sorry. For Deputy Frazier, just wondering if you have been to the lot.
For who?
Me.
Oh.
I have not physically been at that lot.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we're to the part of this hearing where the board will have their discussion. So no more input, quick board discussion, and see if we can come to a decision. So Board of Commissioners, what are you thinking right now? Any thoughts or ideas? I'm thinking we have two concrete sales of two lots that both show 904 and 907. And I don't see why we wouldn't value hers at 904 or 907. I don't see why we'd charge any more per square foot. She's already got more acres, so she'd pay more per, but I don't see why we charge her more per square foot. So I would be interested in the idea of maybe seeing, dropping this to the 904 a square foot. That's just my thought. Anybody else with a thought?
But that doesn't take into consideration what the 23 takes into consideration what the state said, right? 923,
That still keep us in compliance.
We're really
Okay.
close.
All
really
right.
close,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that goes with actual sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actual sales in the neighborhood, those are pretty good comps.
Mhm.
So, I feel good enough to make a motion. I would motion that we adjust this to the 904 per square foot, to that number that worked out.
Okay, I'll second.
Any discussion or thoughts? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carries unanimously. So, of course, you can still appeal our decision to the state, Mandy, but, right now we have just motioned and voted to drop that to the same rate as that neighboring property, that $9.04 a square foot, which came out to
Okay.
145 something and some change, 145
Okay.
something. Jerry's doing the math.
To simplify things, 145, 697, 68, 145, 697.
145, 697.
Okay.
All right. And then if you need information or help, if you want to appeal that beyond this, Sydney can help you from our office with that information. But that is what we've made the decision on for today.
Perfect. Thank you so much for everyone's time.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for
thank
your
you
help.
for calling me.
Sorry, yeah, sorry about the delay.
It's all good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.